Razabani for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by the brand name on Dave Coldwell's t-shirt, Everlast. Dave, how are we doing?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Enjoying a bit of heat, a bit of sun after a few days of showers and cold weather.
It was sunny, and just had lunch outside, and then it's gone a bit cloudy. So yeah, just in time for the school run. So all right, all right,
How's, as always, how's family? How's everybody?
good. Yeah, really good. Thanks. Yeah, it's really good. We're all good, and just keep on doing what we do.
How's Jordan, Sniper, Hopey, everyone well in the gym?
Yeah, getting some good work in. Getting some good work in. It's good times at the moment. We're just obviously Hope is fighting on Fight Camp. Just waiting on a date being confirmed for Jordan's European title fight. And then Eddie's working on Laron's next move. So it's good, interesting times.
Dave, in the past, you've had bigger stables of fighters. Are you satisfied with three? Well, three that you're training. I know you manage others, but are you
Yeah.
content where you are, or are you, if the right one came forward, then you look at taking more?
If the right one came forward that I would gel with and I'd be excited by it, then yeah. I've always said five is my maximum. I've had five, and I know that I can finish in time for the school run. And then I'm home for the rest of the day with the kids. So as long as that doesn't push beyond that, then I'm happy. I know five I can cope with on that. The management side of things, I'm always looking. I'm always recruiting. I've got some good young fighters that I've signed recently. Stephen Cairns and Paige Murnay, who's professional, won the Commonwealth Silver 2018. She's going to be an exciting addition to the female game. So I'm always adding fighters management at all different levels. But training wise, one, maybe two more if in the future, who knows. But right now I'm happy, and yeah, it's good. It's good vibe in the gym, really good vibe, and outstanding talents as well. Laron, Jordan, Hope. Couldn't wish for more talented boxers than those.
Who's the joker of the three? I mean by that,
Do
who's the
you
one
know
that,
what? All three of them, it's just the gel, the fit is just great. We have some good laughs. Just the people haven't seen the personalities as such really yet. But they're all funny kids. They're all nice kids. But they're all funny. It's not a case of people telling jokes. It's just how they are. It's like LeRon will just come out with some shit that just makes you laugh, and just might just start burst out singing and things like that. And but they've all got good attributes. They're all good characters.
Dave, we haven't caught up for a while, surprisingly. Normally, you always, or when you go on your live, I always, stalk you on your live and ask you for an interview, and then you tell the followers, "Look, guys, he's chasing me." But it hasn't happened for a while. Major news broke last week, I believe, or the week before. Eddie Hearn announcing this new platform with DAZN in the UK is solely going to be with DAZN, leaving Sky Sports after good 10, 11 years with them. I think he was there at the launch as well. Great move for Eddie.
Great move for Eddie. Great move for Eddie's fighters in terms of what DAZN are looking to bring to boxing and to matchroom fighters. So it's exciting. I've heard the plans. I've heard what they're looking at doing, and the things that they've put in place. It is very exciting, and that because of the work ethic of Eddie, and not just Eddie, but look at Frank Smith, and I've known Frank since he was a kid there. And his work ethic and drive's fantastic as well, and it's the whole team. They all work hard, and they're all committed to driving things forward. And I know it sounds silly, but they're all looking for a global takeover. So they're going to work at it, and that how Eddie has been, and how successful he's been in the time that he's been in the sport, you know that they're going to give it absolutely everything to make this work. It's it's massive plans, it's a bold move. But then when you speak to Joe at DAZN and the guys at DAZN, they've got the work ethic and they've got the ambition and drive to match. So it's exciting times for fighters that are involved with them, but it's also an exciting time at Sky because they're going to go full throttle. People thought that Sky were going to, just kind of, I don't know why, but people thought that Sky were going to just drift and go away. But it seems though they've got the bit between the teeth. And I just think for boxers in general, it's a good time because there are options for them. There are different platforms for them. You know, obviously Eddie and DAZN, Sky. You've got BT Sport with the Queensbury Frank Warren promotion. You know, you've got Channel 5 with Hennessy. You've got Fight Zone as well, which I think is fantastic for smaller boxing. I call it non-TV boxing, and it's fantastic for those guys that aren't being plucked to go on to Sky, aren't being plucked to go to DAZN, you know, and they're the guys that we see week in, week out on, you know, your Carl Greaves, your Steffi Bull shows, there's so many promoters, Steve Woods and all them lot, that are putting on shows. I used to do that. I know how hard it is. I know how hard it is just to keep it going and keep the balls juggling and keep your fighters active and not losing shitloads of money, you know. So Fight Zone have come along and they're backing that, and so I think it's a great idea for and a great help for that level of boxing, and they can grow that together. If it works, they'll grow together. So again, that's another platform. But then IFL TV do the live streams. There's Fight TV. There's so many different outlets now. So I think for a boxer, it's exciting times. And for boxing fans, the choice is massive. The only thing is for boxing fans that if you want to watch everybody and if you want to watch it all, it's expensive. You know, it is expensive. But you have a choice. And it's same as, listen, we would all like to buy this and that for his houses and nice cars for everybody in the family and stuff, but you kind of like have to make choices to fit your budget. And I suppose it's similar with boxing. You know, sometimes you can go on, your missus will go and buy something in Primark, and sometimes she'll buy something a little bit nicer for a special occasion or whatever. But boxing is kind of like that now, where you're gonna have to choose what fits your budget. But if there's something that catches your eye and you think, oh, I want to watch that, if it's pay-per-view or if it's or something like that, then you think, all right, okay, I'm gonna have to this month. I'm gonna choose that fight. It's a choice. Nobody's holding a gun to your head. It's a choice. It's not great because it is expensive. Like I said, I'm a boxing fan, and the problem is there are fighters that I want to watch on Sky. There are fighters that I want to watch on DAZN. There are fighters that I'm gonna want to watch on Fight Zone, on sometimes even on that Fight TV. There's been some fights I'm like, oh, so you kind of like paying money there and everywhere, and it gets to a point where I think eventually some people maybe stick with it all, and eventually, depending on the performance levels of each of these channels, then or the promoters on these channels, then maybe they're going to start going, right, okay, well, the last couple of months this hasn't been very good. I've not really been getting my money's worth. I'm going to drop them, and they may drop them until the promoters pick it up and start putting on fights that they're interested in again. It may be a case of chopping and changing like that a little bit. I think what people got to remember in terms of a Sky, and I think with BT Sport as well, is they're not boxing channels. They're full, Sky they've got like, whether it's news, whether it's entertainment channels, there's football, there's all different sports, and there's boxing. When you pay for your sports package, you're not just paying for boxing. You're paying for the sports package. Now, if you're not a fan of any other sport and it's just boxing, then yes, that's expensive, but you can't blame the TV network for perhaps not paying for a show that's going to be on at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, because they're not going to get the viewers that's going to generate to justify the money that they're spending, because they're not just a boxing channel. Whereas your BoxNations, your DAZN, Fight Zone, and channels like that, Fight TV, they are boxing or combat channels. You know what I mean? That's what they do. So they will put all their money that they've got for like broadcasting into boxing events. So it's a little bit different when you're talking about BT and Sky, because they have got their budget that goes elsewhere.
No, absolutely. Dave, I know we spoke about this in all our interviews, AJ Fury, and you did say to me, Raz, I'll talk about it and I'll give you my aspect of it when it's done and dusted.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not going to talk about AJ Fury with you because it's quite upsetting to know it's not taking place, right? But potentially we're looking at Deontay Wilder and Fury, which is less than a month away or so now, and looks like
it is, isn't it?
Yeah. And Alexander Usyk. I just want to go back. Obviously, it was a press conference for Fury and Wilder. Now, Wilder's been very vocal the last 12 months. He said his things. He said his reasons why he believed he lost, etc. But he was very, very quiet last week. He had his headphones in, didn't do much media, didn't want to say a lot. What does that say about someone's mindset?
It's difficult to say when you don't know him. You know, I know Deontay from meeting him a few times and spending 3 weeks with him like 9 years ago, but I don't know him. So it's very difficult to know what's inside their head, and different fighters do different things. Now, obviously, this is something new in terms of fight week or fight hype, and face to faces with Wilder. But you've got to say, well, did Tyson Fury get into Deontay Wilder's head the first time round, the second time round? And I'd say yeah. So maybe stick some cans on his ears, and he doesn't hear what he's talking about, so he can't get into his head. Avoid social media whenever Tyson Fury is speaking. It doesn't get in his head. Try and minimize the effect that Fury's words and mind games can, just his whole persona. Try and minimize that as much as you can. And does that give Deontay Wilder more of a chance? I'd say so, because Fury got into Vladimir's head, he's got into Wilder's head. When I say get into head, does it make them hesitant on doing what they're good at? Yes, it does. Because, you know, Vladimir can punch, Wilder can punch, but Fury took that away from him because he had him hesitating before the through, and that was before he even got in the ring. You know, because it puts doubts in you. So if he's trying to take that away from him, fair play to him.
What do you make of the addition of Malik Scott? Obviously, Malik's been around the camp for a long time. He loves the game. He's great at reading the game. I know he didn't have the most successful career in the most respectful way, but you've seen Deontay Wilder do different things now on the mitts, on the punch bag, more combination punching. I'm sure you've seen that. Now, is that something you can bring into the ring or plan for in the ring?
Of course it is. Of course it is. That's what we drill. We drill. You know, you see it all the time. Fighters switch trainers, and if it's somebody that they can gel with and somebody that can get across what they need them to do, and if the fighter is willing to adapt and willing to change, they can add different facets to the game. You know, that's the whole thing. Once a fighter split with his original trainer, what are you going to do? He's never going to work with a coach, or is he going to work with somebody that's going to bring something to the game? And straight away, the first clip that I saw of Malik Scott with Deontay on the pads is pads. Anyone can look great on pads, don't get me wrong, but I like what I see, and the more I'm seeing him, I'm liking what I see, and he's trying to stop him from being a one-trick pony. You know, his feet look better. His balance looks good. He's using his left hand. His left hand looks dangerous. You know, his movement is better. I like what I see. But you drill that and you do it on the floor. You do it on the pads. then you take it in sparring. You have to start pulling it off in sparring. You have to be comfortable in sparring. It has to be ingrained, and then you go out there and do it on fight night. Now, fighters can do that. So, can Deontay Wilder? We'll see. You know, yeah, of course, it's something that can be brought on board. And if it is, then it's exciting, because I'm not excited about this fight, or I wasn't. Now I'm seeing it, and I like Malik Scott in the terms that his way of boxing. Like you say, this perception that fighters that aren't, they weren't great, he weren't world champion. How many fighters were world champion? How many coaches were world champion? Were the best in the business, and now successful coaches? Not many. So it's not, it shouldn't be even looked at. Judge them on what they're doing, and judge them on what the knowledge is. Just because a fighter understands and knows what he should be doing doesn't mean that he can implement it on fight night. And sometimes there's a block there, and sometimes there's something that stops him from pulling it off. Malik Scott's a clever man. He understands boxing. He understands the art of boxing. So it's interesting. He also talks well. I mean, he always talks well as a fighter as well. So, on that side of things as well, he brings more entertainment value as well. But whether or not he can get Deontay to perform on the night, I don't know. We don't know yet, because they've not had a fight together. And the big thing is whether or not that's enough to beat Tyson Fury. That's another thing, because in Fury you're talking about somebody who is special. He's got to be for what he's achieved. He's got to be for when you look at him and you look at what he's gone through and what he's come back from. He's special. It's a hell of an achievement what he's done, and there's so many little percentages in boxing as well that can lead to a result of a fight. Wilder adds a couple of percent. Fury, does he look at it as just get this one out of the way? Does he look at it as, I've had 2 fights with this guy, and I've lost 2 moments in those 2 fights? Does he take him lighter? Does he listen to how Wilder spoke, made excuse after excuse after excuse, and just think, he's not learned from it, I'm just going there and do it again? Does he get reckless? Does he make a mistake? Because everybody's human, everyone can make a mistake. One thing that Wilder's got, he's got that knockout power. But if you, in the fine margins of top level boxing, 1-2% swing either way can make a difference to a fight. So you don't know. But I'm glad that the bits that I'm seeing of Wilder, albeit on the pads, are improving. I like what I'm seeing. I'm glad of that, because then it makes me interested in the fight. Because until I saw that, I thought, what the fuck do I want to watch that for? Because he's got no chance. Fury's just going to do whatever he wants to do with him. Just whatever he wants to. I was so impressed with Fury in the rematch. I thought it was brilliant, because he again, so he's changed trainers, and you're thinking, well, it worked in the first fight. Now he's talking about flipping it around and going at him. He might get knocked out here. But how good did that work, and how good did he look? So it shows you that he learned in that camp and went out and implemented what he'd been working on. So it shows you that fights can change and fighters can change.
Dave, Anthony Joshua did an interview with Sky this week where he said, referring to Alexander Usyk, that asked what does he possess in terms of danger, and he said, none. I fear none of them. He don't bring me nothing I ain't seen before, are exact words. You prepared Tony for Usyk. You've obviously watched Usyk.
Completely different fighter.
Yeah, but
completely different fighter. Completely different fighter.
Seen Usyk now at heavyweight with Chisora, and I think, was it Weatherspoon?
Completely different fighter.
How does Usyk fit in with someone like Joshua, who is a very, very big heavyweight?
So, when I saw Usyk as a cruiserweight, I look at Usyk and I think, wow, he's brilliant. Brilliant. His feet, his balance, adjustments that he makes, his distractions, his non-punching activity, his angles, hard to hit, work rate, everything. He was just really, really good. Really, really good. I watched him against Joe Joyce in the amateurs. Joe Joyce is massive. And what he did with Joe Joyce, I was like, he's going to be a threat in that heavyweight division. I really thought that. But then he's moved up to heavyweight, and I look at him. He's had two fights there. And I look at him, and I just think there's a lot of what made Usyk wow, and fucking hell, he's good. There's a lot of that that's gone as the heavyweight version. The weight that he's put on, I don't know him. I don't know if I'm right, but from outside looking in and just what I look at, I don't think that suits him. I think that it's made him stiffer, more cumbersome, easier to get to, and not as much of a puzzle as what he was. I don't think there's as much going off as a heavyweight. And then I saw, I saw another clip of him where he was on the scales. It was, his weight that some more weight he'd put on or whatever. I just looked at his body. I just think he just looks too big for what he is and for the style. It's like he's trying to match the size of the heavyweights as such. But his assets weren't that. His assets were that, his mobility and his boxing skills and ability and speed. I might be wrong, but I get what AJ's saying, because the heavyweight version of Usyk hasn't shown anything that if I was AJ, hasn't shown anything that I'd be too concerned about. Because the AJ that, let's talk, going back a few years, the AJ that boxed, come forward and looked to walk down Dillian Whyte and people like that, was quite robotic, mechanical, and one-dimensional. That Usyk would be a nightmare for. But AJ now, as he's getting older, he's adding things to his game. His mobility, he looks a lot more loose, a lot more supple, sharper, and he's got the speed as well. I don't know. I think and I think he's very professional, so he won't take him lightly, no matter what he says. Because he's done that before and he's got wiped out. So I think once bitten. I don't think Usyk does give him too many problems.
Dave, I'll end on this because I know time's very short, but we had a great opportunity where the governing bodies and promoters wanted to have this Joshua Fury fight for all the belts. We're not sure if we're going to get this opportunity again. But do you feel like whether Wilder wins or whether Usyk wins, whatever happens in those two heavyweight fights, do you ever think we'll see an undisputed champion in the heavyweight division, or do you think we're past that now?
Listen, we were as close as we're ever going to get, weren't we? So I think they moved mountains to get it that close. During a pandemic and where everything's going off, and managing to get it as close as what they did, I think they moved mountains for that. So the duration and the obstacles now that are back in front, you've got the two fights, which, although I've said, I make Fury and I make AJ the favourites for those fights, I'm not discarding the other two guys, because they are, Wilder's got that unbelievable power. It looks like he's getting better, and Usyk could just come out and just have more about him than what he showed so far as a heavyweight. But there's those two fights they've got to get through. And then in the meantime, the sanctioning bodies and what they decide and who they need to fight as mandatories and things like that. I don't know. I don't know if we'll get an undisputed straight away. It might be a case one of the belts become vacant or something, and then AJ Fury, whoever wins that, might then have to go and fight somebody else to clean up the belts. I don't know, but to be honest, I'm not asked anymore. It's frustrating. I just want to see. I want to take it for the fights that are in front of us. So AJ Usyk, will I watch that? Yes. Wilder and Fury, will I watch that? Yes. After that, then let's see what the situation is, and then all the circus and all the talk and all the bullshit, and does it happen? Doesn't it happen? All starts again.
Of course, Dave. There were a lot more questions I want to ask, but I'll save them for another day.
I've literally got 1 minute.
Did you see Jake Paul's comments that he made yesterday or today. It was yesterday with TMZ. He firmly believes that if he keeps on fighting and learning, he believes in the next couple of years he could potentially be in the ring with Canelo Alvarez.
Well, if I kept on growing after 15, I'd be taller than what I am now. But it didn't happen. What do you want me to say that? Listen, he talks a great game. He talks a great game. Who's he fought so far? Who's he fought so far?
An NBA player,
Right.
the YouTuber, Gibbs,
Right.
now fighting obviously Tom Woodley.
So has he fought a proper full-time professional boxer yet?
No.
Right. Okay. So that's the equivalent of somebody walking into my gym tomorrow, never having fought, never having trained, and then just turning around and saying, "Well, listen, if I work harder than anybody else, and if I keep winning, then I'm going to fight for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world." Might happen because if. But like I said, if I'd have carried on going, I'd be 6 foot plus by now, mate. It never happened. So there's more chance of that than.
Dave Coldwell, IFL TV, thank you very much.
Cheers, mate. Nice one.